The Paragon of Man, Smoke Pit Fairy Tales Part 3, Chapter 15, Big Bear, Big Dipper. Taking Hipsy's advice, we rode towards Yucca Valley, but shortly after we got to Highway 62, we were stuck. The desert road passed through a forest of windmills. None of them still operated, and a good number of them had fallen into the dirt. The road was mostly flat until it jumped sharply up into a cut in the mountain. A wall of fallen boulders blocked the road. The Jeep was off, and we stood outside, stretching our legs, contemplating our next move.
Well, what do we do now?
Ginny asked, looking at the stones.
Well, we could go that way.
I pointed to our rear left.
The mountain isn't as steep, and we should be able to get the Jeep over it.
Do you know what's up there?
Thom asked.
Kind of. I've off-roaded up there a few times between my first two deployments. My old unit was in 29 Palms, and that's not more than an hour up this road from here.
Do you remember it enough to make it to Yucca if we hook round that way?
Penelope inquired.
No, but I don't remember the terrain being unmanageable, and Big Bear's just up past that range. There should be trees and water and animals up that way. It wouldn't be too bad a place to spend a night or two getting across. We'd have to go slow, but it could be done.
It's getting dark, though. Should we camp out for the night?
Yeah, but let's get a little bit off the road first.
We drove about a mile towards the adjacent mountains. There was a dried-up riverbed I could navigate the Jeep through. I pulled right up to the tree line and parked. We set up our tents and racked out for the night. I woke up the next morning before the sun did with a face full of Penelope's hair. I carefully snuck out from under the blankets and out of the tents, keeping in mind not to zip it up too loud. I slung the M14 across my back and took a piss in the trees. I pulled the axe out from the Jeep and walked into the woods until I found a smaller tree that could be burnt to make breakfast. Most of the forest seemed to have handled its time without sunshine fairly well. I didn't remember seeing ferns around that area before, but the ground was booming with them. I found a half-dead tree a couple dozen yards in. It only had a bit of green growing from it. Most of its branches were bare, and it was less than a foot across. I took it down with a few whacks, chopped it into a few smaller manageable logs, and started a fire by the Jeep. Ginny was the next person awake. She stumbled out of the tent with no regard for silence and sat across from the fire from me.
Thom fucking snores.
I heard that. Good morning.
Yeah.
Ginny's hair and clothes were still a morning's mess.
You only had 2 tents.
We only need to. If you only have one person sleeping in one of those, they don't get warm.
There's enough blankets for that.
What? You don't like Thom?
Not that much, and he keeps that box of pigs and chickens in there with him. It stinks.
Yeah, but it makes sense.
So what's for breakfast?
Well, we still have eggs, so that.
I got the pan and cracked the eggs in. Either the noise or the smell of the fire woke Penelope and Thom before they joined Ginny and me. We ate, packed our stuff, and drove up the riverbed until it went no further. Penelope looked at the mountains around us.
What do we do now?
I don't know, look around.
I shrugged and stepped out of the Jeep. I grabbed and slung my rifle. The others followed suit. I examined the terrain around the end of the river. I climbed up one of the reliefs and walked around the bowl in the ground. I looked back at the other 3.
Looks like we might be able to crawl up the face of this mountain if we use the winch, and it looks like we're going to use it a lot. Or we could go down this way. It's a little flatter, but we're gonna have to take a few more trees down.
Thom climbed up the rocks next to me and took a look for himself.
My vote's for the flatter land. It'd be better to be slow and stopping to cut down trees than it would be to have something break and roll downhill.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to agree with you.
I looked down at Penelope.
Hey, you remember how to drive stick, right?
Well, that settles it. We got back in the Jeep and I drove her up out of the bed. For half a mile, we crawled out of the watershed. When the Jeep was back in the woods, we were pleasantly surprised. There was enough space between the trees to maneuver the Jeep. Granted, it was in 4 low, and we only moved 5 miles an hour until we found a trail. Once we made it through, we kept it slow and followed the dirt until we found pavement. Not too long down the road, we started seeing villages and people.
These buildings look very alpine.
And the trees are so green.
I looked around the village as we putted along.
I don't think these people got hit at all.
At the far end of the town, we pulled up to a lake. I stopped the Jeep by the shore and we got out to view the scenery. Little puffy white clouds skirted the heavens in front of the setting sun over the cone-shaped trees and the blue ripples in the lake.
This is Big Bear, right?
I'm pretty sure.
I leaned on the fender and pulled out my pipe.
Hey, you got that tobacco, Thom?
Yeah.
He fished the leather wallet out from his coat jacket and tossed it to me. I packed the bowl and flicked my lighter.
It's nice up here.
What do you guys think about just staying here?
I exhaled the first puff of blue smoke.
We're not far enough away.
I raised an eyebrow at him.
He's right. We might be all right for a while, but word will travel this far away. Anywhere that uses the currency we do, rumours will travel to. It all travels by truck or horse. We at least have to get away from that.
You'd think they'd come out this far for revenge?
Wouldn't you?
I'd come a lot further than this.
Valid point.
We watched the sun set over the lake, then decided to find an inn instead of roughing it for the night. There was a lodge not too far down the street with an inviting sign. We pulled up and went in. It was built with unpainted wood and glass. More than half the building's face was windowed to look over the lake and mountain. The inside walls were logs with a large brick fireplace. Taxidermied animals decorated the walls over the exquisite wooden furniture. A few patrons sat by the fire or at the tables eating.
Good evening, can I help you?
A burly, white-bearded man in a brown jacket greeted us.
Yes. Do you have a vacancy?
How many do you need?
At least 3. Thom freaking stinks.
And she keeps farting in her sleep and stinking up the damn tent.
Y'all traveling?
Yeah. Quick question. Would our Jeep be safe here?
Yeah, just be sure to pull around back. There's a fence and a guard back there, and the kitchen's open, so there'll be eyes on it. I'll tell them to let you in if you decide to stay the night.
We'll take 3 rooms.
All right. My name's Steve. Let me know if you need anything while you're here. How long y'all staying?
Just a day.
Penelope handed him a few coins. Steve looked over the gold in his hand.
Outstanding. Pull your Jeep up in the back, and I'll meet you out there.
I went and moved the vehicle. Steve helped us move some of our bags to our rooms. Before he left us, he said,
We got a pot roast cooking tonight. It's in the crock, so whenever you're hungry, it's there. We got milk, water, and beer, too.
Actually, is there a way to clean up?
I can have someone bring up some hot water.
I'd appreciate that.
Well, we'll see you in a bit.
Steve left and showed Ginny and Thom their respective rooms. We settled into the simple but homey room. The bed had a white and red quilt with fluffy pillows. I sat down at the foot of the bed. Penelope shooed me off.
Get off that.
What?
You're all dirty and sweaty. I'd like to sleep in a clean bed tonight. At least bathe first.
All right, babe.
I sat on the floor with my back to the wall. Penelope sat next to me and rested her head on my shoulder. I grabbed her hand and weaved my fingers between hers. We stayed there until there was a knock at the door. I got up and opened it to see a short brunette woman in her 40s holding a cauldron of steaming water.
You asked for hot water?
Yes, ma'am, we did.
She smiled and handed it to me.
There are towels in the bathroom. If you need anything else, let me know. My name's Samantha.
Awesome. Thank you.
She closed the door and I placed the water on the dresser. Penelope wrapped her arms around my waist.
A bath will feel good.
Is this how you guys been doing it?
More or less. Once every week or two, I'd usually fill up the tub and have a full bath, but there hasn't been running water.
Makes sense.
I turned around and grabbed the collar of her jacket. She smiled at me as I pulled it off, followed shortly by her shirt, pants, and undergarments. I grabbed a towel and dunked it in the water. I writhed the excess water from the cloth and rubbed it over Penelope's body. I cleaned her back first, then turned her around and washed her front. She hadn't changed much since I left. I didn't find any stretch marks. Her breasts were still perky and her tattoos still held their color. Nothing about the outside of her had aged a day since I met her. She let her head fall back.
Hank, tell me you're never going to leave me alone again.
I kissed the back of her neck.
Baby, I'm never going anywhere without you.
She turned her head and planted her lips on mine. I dropped my clothes as she ran the washcloth over me.
You haven't changed at all.
She massaged my shoulders with the steaming hot wet towel.
Huh?
Besides the hair, you're exactly the same. Maybe a little thinner, but there's no new scars and you haven't aged. I thought you'd have been hurt.
I was, Penelope. I was actually hurt pretty bad before contact was lost.
What?
Yeah, in Latvia before we went to Russia. I just didn't tell you because I didn't want you to be upset or more worried than you needed to be.
What happened?
A lot. The day the Russians invaded, we were in a city evacuating civilians. I got blasted through a building by a mech round. A couple of hours later, I was shot in the chest. I don't remember how long I don't remember how long it was after that. Days, maybe weeks. I was in a fight and accidentally stabbed myself in the arm. In St. Petersburg, we got hit with friendly fire. I got knocked out and captured. Getting my ass beat was fun. Then on the way back, we got captured by cannibals and strung up, and then got shipwrecked a few times. Fun shit.
You have an interesting definition of the word fun.
I don't have the vocabulary to shrug it off with longer words.
Why don't you have scars from it all?
I knew exactly why I didn't have scars. I knew exactly why one day I'd find Doc again. I knew that looking back, I should have never eaten those red berries in that golden room in Iraq and accepted death when it came the first time, but I shook my head. I don't know, babe.
Well, whatever it is, I'm glad you're here now.
She wrapped her arms around my neck from behind. She brushed my hair back and kissed my cheek.
Are you hungry?
Absolutely.
Then let's get some roast.
Penelope put on a pair of brown pants with her jack boots, a dark red top, and a brown leather jacket. She pulled her hair from under the collar and stuck a revolver in the black leather holster on her thigh. I put on my jeans, a pair of black jungle boots I had packed, a plain black shirt, and threw a tiger stripe camo jacket on over it. I put my 1911 on my hip. We knocked on the other two's doors and let them know we were going to eat and headed downstairs. There was a burning fireplace next to one end of the bar where we sat down. Steve brought us both beer and water. The water was clean. I was kind of surprised. Then I figured it could have easily been boiled beforehand to clean.
I'll get you some pot roast here in a few minutes. Samantha's putting together a couple plates now.
Steve stood behind the bar, washing glasses with a white rag. I took a sip of the beer. It was dark, some kind of stout, and it didn't taste bad for how warm it was. I didn't know if warm beer was the new thing, but I decided not to ask.
Thank you, sir.
No problem.
Hey, we are in Big Bear, right?
That you are. You just passing through?
The Jeep giveaway?
That and a lot of people come up this way now.
Is that so?
Yeah, LA's been obliterated and people are afraid of the desert, so if they can manage it, they make it up here just because it's green. It's kind of become a hub for travelers in SoCal. I haven't heard of anyone trying to push through to Mojave yet. People trying to get east stayed in the woods as long as they can, going north. Usually about Oregon, then they go east. That what you doing?
Trying to find a new life.
Where you heading from, if you don't mind me asking?
Ramona.
Penelope took a sip of her beer.
I haven't seen anyone from there in a while. Had some guys from Julian come through not too long back. You got a destination in mind?
Not really. Just away.
I lied.
Can't blame you for that.
Steve had a look on his face that showed he knew how he felt.
But you have to be careful north of here.
Why is that?
There's a group of bandits on the other side of Big Bear Mountain. They call themselves the Six Arms. They got a thing for grabbing people up and stealing their stuff. They usually don't come down this way unless there's a storm and people aren't out and up and about. But they've tried to raid this town a couple of times.
What kind of name is the Six Arms?
Closest I can figure is that they have extra arms to carry off other people's stuff.
Samantha placed 2 plates covered with smoking beef, mashed potatoes, and corn, covered in a thick, rich gravy in front of us.
Dig in.
She went and tended to the other guests.
So, this is a popular inn, huh?
I asked after I swallowed my first bite. Steve finished washing his glasses and moved to the silverware.
Yep, hopefully in a few years, when society gets itself back together, Big Bear Mountain might become the next big city. It's pleasant here. The weather's good. We're not in the desert. There's water and shade. It just might end up being the middle of everything, and I'm sitting on prime real estate.
Yeah? How long do you think that might take?
I took another bite of beef.
No way to really tell. I guess that depends on how many scientists and builders that are still around.
Or if they decide to come back from space to live here. They probably have a whole society running up there already. A good bit of people went up.
Yeah, I kind of wish sometimes I went with them, but I've been on a ship before back when I was in the Navy, and I can't see anything in space being any better than that. Being stuck in a metal prison with never more than 2 feet of metal in any direction, that's not for me. I'd rather be down here and free.
That, and they're probably still getting taxed all hell up there.
Fucking Congress. Yeah, they're probably up there tying up the outer space with red tape.
That night, after we all turned in, I laid in bed with Penelope under a thick wool blanket and soft cotton sheets. The mattress wasn't terrible, but I was in heaven. It was the first night I spent with Penelope in an actual bed since before I left. I wrapped my arms around her body and pulled her in tight. Her warm, naked skin built heat between our bodies. I woke up early the next morning to the sound of pattering rain on the window. I didn't immediately get out of bed. The sun had just barely begun to cast light over the sky. At some point in the night, Penelope and I had adjusted positions. I snaked my hands through the blankets to her and pulled her back to me. Her half-sleeping morning voice was squeaky and meek.
Is that rain?
I rested my face on the back of her head with my mouth close to her ear.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
Penelope stretched her arms and legs and pushed herself back into me.
Do you think they have coffee downstairs?
No idea, babe.
Penelope shrugged with a lazy indifference and fell back asleep. At some point, we did finally get out of bed and went downstairs. Thom and Ginny were already sitting at a table next to the fireplace eating scrambled eggs and drinking milk.
I take it there's no coffee?
Penelope said as we pulled out chairs and sat down. Thom answered her.
Not that we've seen. How'd you sleep?
Well,
I slept great. No chickens or pigs smelling up the place, and I didn't have Thom kicking me in his sleep.
Ginny commented. Thom pointed his fork at Ginny.
Those are going to come in handy when we want eggs, chicken, bacon, or pork to eat in the future.
I know.
Ginny rolled her eyes.
Morning, folks. Can I get you something to eat?
Steve greeted us from the bar. I looked at Steve and raised my eyebrows at Penelope, signaling for her to go first.
eggs and toast, please. Or whatever it is you have.
Same for me.
So what's the plan?
I looked over at the water falling down the windows.
I don't know if I want to drive in rain like this. We don't really know where we're going, and if we get stuck, we're screwed.
Just want to ride the storm out here then?
I mean, are we on a time crunch?
The rest of the table shook their heads no.
And we can afford it, right?
I looked back to Penelope. She rolled her head to the side, gave me a sarcastic smile, and nodded. We spent the day in the lounge by the bar and fire with Steve, Samantha, and a few of the other inn's guests. The other travelers stayed in as well. Traveling in bad weather wasn't smiled on in the days after GPS, especially when gas started to come by. Half the roads were destroyed, and there was no emergency services. I wondered if that's what traveling was like before the 20th century. The rain stopped sometime the next night. We got up, ate, and got back on the road. As we were loading up the Jeep, Steve gave us directions off the mountain. He handed us a crude, hand-drawn map.
This way you should take up north through the roads on the mountain to at least Victorville. You should be able to get gas there. You'll be in the desert by then. Make sure that after that you get out of town. Keep going until you're off the mountain. The bandits will get after you if you camp out, especially with a loaded up vehicle like yours.
Well, hey, thanks for the help, man. I waved at Steve and started the engine.
Hey, what up, peeps? How you doing? Thanks for listening to another chapter-sode of, what is this, the Paragon of Man? Yeah, it's the Paragon. We're on Smoke Fairy Tales Part 3 over here, baby. Fucking, sorry, my brain's a little conflubbled. I had like 3 full days of no production last week. I had a day where my computer just did not want to turn on. I mean, it turned on, but like, you know, you type in the password and then it didn't start for like half an hour, and then after that, everything you opened, it took forever to fucking do anything. Like spinning Beach Ball of Death, like the entire fucking day. There was a lot of swearing. I don't know what was up with it, but that was one day. Then we had the 4th of July and had the, you know, 4th of July things. And then there was another day where I spent the whole day doing the floors. So, you know what? Brain's a little all over the place. Friggin', I just got done uploading the, I think, 12th chapter of Book 4 to Patreon. So if you want to, you know, hop over to Patreon, or if you want to listen ahead, I put these chapters on Patreon as I go. Or, you know, this book specifically is just on Audible. You can just go listen to it on Audible. But speaking of Patreon, I'd like to thank everyone who is following me over on Patreon, as well as everyone who's gotten a war chest, which are, you know, the first 6 books of the series. I've talked to you about this. You know this. Come on. The same people watching over and over again. You know what the war chest is. Also, if you're not watching these episodes in order, what's up? How's that going? What's up with that? Anyway, what was this? Big Bear, Big Dipper. Who was in this? Diane Spencer played Penelope and Samantha. And Azalandra Danstar played Ginny. Ryan, History Daddy Day, coming back as Thom. And my buddy William Greeson Jr. playing Steve, old man of the inn. Again, thank you all for tuning in. I'm glad you're digging it. Stay in here and, you know, get the. Glad you're enjoying the story. I don't know what the hell I'm saying. My brain, again, I don't know what the fuck is up. Oh, man. What are we doing? Fuck. I don't know what the hell we're doing, man. Thank you for tuning in, is what I meant to say. All right, let's see what you guys said last chapter-sode. What? Eclair? Fucking huh? Jeebus, I gotta start reading again. Was last episode when Eclair came back? I guess it was. No, I mean, he didn't come back, you know. Hank just got that letter. And again, yeah, if you've read the books, actually, if you've read these books, you know that there is more of an answer to this than that. But there will be more Eclair. It just won't be soon for anybody watching these just on YouTube. It's also not going to be anytime soon for people that are reading the other books. I think at some point I do want to write a book where it's pretty much just Eclair doing the Forrest Gump, like, you know, waking up in Russia, escaping the United States, joining the Marines, going to Vietnam, all that fun stuff. But yeah, that's a down the road thing. But not all that's in this book series. Some of you know. And if you do know, be quiet about it. No spoilers for the people who haven't, all right? Thank you. I appreciate that. Bradley, nice hearing about WTS and everything. What is WTS, man? Also, nice seeing the prints you're making. Really cool stuff. Yeah, I actually got all the stuff for the prints, like, the little cardboard backings, the cellophane plastic fucking envelopes they go in. I just didn't get the prints because I'm dumb. My furnace just turned on. I don't know if you can hear that or not. I guess I'll talk louder. Yeah, but I should be ordering actual prints here sometime soon. What is July 9th? In a couple days. So I'm gonna do the bills I pay on the 15th and then do that. I need to get some cash together still, but I got some books in too, so that's good. I don't know what the fuck I'm ranting about. Oh, WTS. What is WTS? Waiting to sell? Wanting to sell? I guess. I don't know. That's what the internet says it is. But yeah. I'll let you know when those are up. I have some ideas for a few things. I found a good place to print them. I got the prints in. I don't know if I actually talked to you about getting the test prints in, but they are good. I like the quality and everything, so I'll hit that up first. I might do that after I get off the phone with you. We're not on the phone. We are talking on... I'm talking to a computer. I am not talking to a computer. I am talking to a camera in my basement. Yes, I know that. What is wrong with you? Excuse me. Ken Atwood, why do I get the impression that there's something really big building? Because you're in the final arc of the book. That's why you think that. But I'm glad you're digging it. Thom the Builder, my inner... I'm gonna try that again. My inner critical drinker wants to say, come on, Hank, get your shit together. That is a terrible Scottish accent. You mean to tell me that you managed to navigate yourself home from halfway across the planet without any maps, but now you're having trouble MacGyvering a way to navigate yourself across a few states? Fuck off, film. Well, there's a difference between sailing left and down and then back up, and I have to get over this mountain in a Jeep without hurting these people or getting these people hurt. Yeah, land is harder to traverse than water is if you have basic equipment. I don't know why the fuck I said that. There's a reason for this. Also, the desert's fucky. You gotta use like gasoline and have water and shit. It's where, going around the ocean is just, letting Fowler drive. It's whatever. It'll be all right. Believe that. It'd be cool to get on that guy's show. Oh, and the furnace is off. Cool. I'm starting to keep yelling. All right, the Bambi, he got here just a few minutes before the show started. Not disappointed, just greedy for more. Well, I already gave him a Patreon pitch. I'm not gonna give it to you again right now, but you know what the deal is. Warsmith, hey, Trip. Better chapter sewed this week. This is making my day a lot brighter. Is there time travel in this series? Because I had a feeling that Claire would be alive when he stepped off the plane thing and the other Marine got sliced in half and he popped up somewhere else in the near future or space. All these war chests and war crates are making me envious, but since I live in stupid clown world, ZA, I'll never get them. Also, I didn't know that ZA was like the thing for South Africa. I don't know why that's a Z. Or do you call that a Z there? That seems like South Africa is in the Z part of the world. Yeah, but yeah, I'm glad you're enjoying it, Warsmith. Also, back to Thom. Jeez, I know Faye was a total bitch. But holy fudge nut, did she get a long ass dragged out, painful and fatal death sentence. Did I miss something? She did to really piss in Hank's Cheerios, or is there more to the story? No, you missed something apparently. Like Faye was mistreating Penelope and should have known better. And this story was the Odyssey up to a point. Everybody had to die at some point, except for the guitar kid. But yeah, no, she had to die. Especially because, like her interactions with Hank in the first two books were very, yeah, I don't like you-ish. You were never supposed to like that character. No. Whether or not you think it's okay for her to get, beat up and fed to pigs, well, she was part of the group that lunged at Hank after he, shut the beer bottles. No, bad guy getting a bad guy. Oh, is that it? Okay, I think that's it. Yeah, thanks for tuning in, everybody. I will catch y'all again next week, right? What are we doing? What are we doing? What is today? What chapter is this? Okay, all right, sweet. All right, I will catch you guys later. Thank you all for tuning in. Thanks for telling your friends and, all that fun stuff. I told you guys I'm working on a new patch, right? Because like in the first war chest, like this is the patch that comes in the war chest of the first 6 books. The War Chest Mark 1. War Chest Mark 2's got its own patch, but I've only got I think 8 or 9 of these left. So these will only be in the next 8 or 9 war chests. And then after that, it'll be a different patch. Yeah, I told you guys that. Did I tell you guys that? I think I told you guys that. All right, y'all have a good one. I will catch y'all next week. Hear your blippers. See ya. Bye. Ciao.
Testing. Test. How's this sound? There's a little dead space there for you. We got the dead space taken care of?
Right, actually, I'll do this scene separate because it seems a bit more romantic.
Fucking Congress. Yeah. They're probably up there trying right now. Blah, blah.
Taxidermied animals decorated the walls of her exquisite wooden.
Chapter 15. Penelope.
She massaged my shoulders. Shoulders! Massage shoulders. Sh.
Chapter 15, take 1.
Okay, here's the other part of chapter 15.
Penelope put on a pair of brown pants and
I fucked that up.
I'm going to do that again.
Steve finished washing the glasses.
Next bit.
Huh. Fucking Congress. Yeah, they're probably up there tying up outer space with red tape right now. Fuck you, that sucked.
Oh, I'm going to do that again.
The bandits will get after your ass, and this whole thing sucks. Okay, here we go.
Oh no. You're on trap. Right.
And fuck your face.
Just want to ride the storm out here then. I'll do that again.
If I'm picking up anything outside, but man, I tell you, it's tough. I don't know how to soundproof this shit that much better. You know, we're on a limited budget.
There we go.
So as a first run test on these, let me know if you want me to break them down into like individual segments and send it to you that way. And then just kind of trying to get the attitude down for you. Let me know. Just I'm throw this away or you can keep it. I don't know, but I think we probably chuck it and do another one. I just wanted to run a test.
Note to trip. Trying to do an American accent is something that I really strive for. So if there's any sounds that are wonky, please let me know. I will happily re-record.